All right, guys, back at it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to feed the bees. We're supposed to get the first real cold snap tomorrow. So we'll go down below freezing into the 20s. High, I think, is 46 on Saturday. Today's Thursday. So we're getting into that. So what we're going to do is just feed the bees. And then we're going to, I have wool insulation. So with this Layen's hive, I think I've mentioned before, this space right here is actually inside of there. This is a 2x4, and inside of there is wool insulation throughout the whole box. That is the plan as we're moving forward. All right, so here we go. All right, guys, so the first thing I'll do is just pop the cover off the feeder. Look in here and see what we've got. Things look very quiet this morning. Maybe a little too quiet, to tell you the truth. There's bees here, but there's very few. So she has definitely got them prepared for the winter. Bee population, at least in here, is down. They may be all in there. I think they try to keep the hive at like 90 degrees or something like that, is what my mentor told me. So they may be all in there, getting their groove on. Interesting thing about the Italians here, I gave them that extra frame that had comb on it. And to tell you the truth, they really haven't done anything with it. Now I've forgotten my hive tool, of course. So I wasn't going to open this up at all, but there's so few bees right here. I just want to make sure. There we go. Oh yeah, they're here. Makeshift hive tool. I just want to check out and see what they're doing, if they're doing anything. See, they're not doing anything on this frame really. So I gave them that extra frame, but to show you the truth, they don't really need it. It looks just like it did before. In fact, just gonna sort of hose them down with a little smoke on the top here so that I can get them down below this frame. Come on, move it, girls. There's a hive beetle. Oh, there's another hive beetle. There's another hive beetle. They got a hive beetle problem again. God darn it. Pisses me off. There's another hive beetle. I don't know. I put peppermint in there, and that actually worked pretty well, to tell you the truth, but my mentor said, what's the honey going to taste like? Well, I'm not really worried about that this year. I'm not going to take any honey from them. I'm just going to watch and see what they have as far as stores, and then what they use, and then I'll know for the next year, basically how many frames of honey they need. And I think it's different for every place, so it's not like I can just ask exactly how many frames of honey. I mean, I'm using Layen's frames instead of Langstroth frames, and I have, my bees with their personality, and I don't know what they need, and I don't need the honey. It's a luxury that we will afford ourselves in the future, but I just want to learn and make them healthy and happy at this point. Yeah, so I think I'll just take this and just shove it down in the box. Now, the thing is, my understanding from my mentor is that the most important thing, more so than keeping them warm and everything else, is to keep them dry. They will generate so much condensation, and if that condensation doesn't have a place to escape, you don't have enough airflow, it's going to get up on the top, and then it's going to drip down onto them, and that's going to cause big problems. Now, I think it causes less problems with the top frames because they're all sealed off, right? So the water can't drip down in there quite the same way. But I just need to make sure that I'm leaving enough airflow. So that's a problem because I've got these 3 holes here, but their hive is so small that really these 2 holes are in this open cavity of the hive or the hive box. So they only have one hole, and then this is sealed off, kind of. It's not completely sealed off, but so where does the air flow, right? It can, during the summer, it's been able to flow between all of these because it's sort of loosey-goosey in there. But if I put this in here, it's going to seal off these two holes. So I'm going to sort of try to put it not right up against the hive wall. Put it so that there's a little bit of an air cavity in there. Let me just show you. Let me pick you up and show you what I'm talking about. All right. So see, so here's the hive wall, right? Sorry. So there's the hive wall, and then there is an entrance, and there is an entrance. Those entrances are just basically airflow, right, at this point. And this, of course, being a top bar, means it's relatively sealed off. Now you can see it's not completely, and that's a good thing, I believe, because that will allow some air to sort of circulate. And I'm going to put this wool insulation just to the right of the entrance there. And so that way, yes, there's a little air space in there, but they'll be able to manage that. And then I'll put this down over like this. And that way, they do have one entrance that is acting as this entrance that's still acting as a way for the air to pass through, because this space here is now got a little bit of an air gap in there, and I think that's probably the best. Let's face it, they don't have that sort of luxury in a tree hollow, so I think they're going to be just fine. Okay, so the concept of the feeding, I think you might be a little bit. So the concept of the feeding is I just don't want them to get into their honey too early. So I'm not giving them all the food they need, but I'm giving them enough that they can, work on that and not have to rely on their honey right up front. Because here, frankly, we only have, it's basically end of December through middle of February. That's winter. I mean, that's really winter. The rest of it is going to be like this sort of spotty thing where it's a little bit warm, a little bit cool, that sort of deal. And we'll just go through for sort of fits and spurts. Okay, so this box, these guys keep their space a lot cleaner. They seem to manage theirs a lot better. I don't know if it's part of the aggressive nature of them or what that has them do that, but they are, in some ways, a cleaner hive. This box has none of the sort of issues that the Italians have. The Italians are constantly fighting, wax moths or hive beetles. I don't want to bend that key up. That would not be a good idea. Let me just go grab a knife real quick. Again, basically, no real bees up here at the top. Things seem to be quite quiet relative to what I found in the summer. It does seem that even though, it's cool this morning, but it's not cold, that's for sure. But it's cool this morning, and so it seems as though they're just getting in their place. Now you can see there's a lot more of them towards the, oh yeah. There's a lot more of them in the feeder, around the feeder. they're going to come out and start getting sassy with me, so I'll just get some smoke going in the air. Yeah, you can see I'm not letting the smoke really go into the hive. I don't want to taint the inside of the hive with the smoke and cause, again, foul smells inside of the hive. But you can see they're still pretty busy here. I've got my collar. My sleeve has gone over my glove, which is going to give them a way to get into me, so don't want that. Yeah, everybody's pretty quiet, pretty docile right now this time. Nobody's too jazzed up, to tell you the truth. It might be the time of year, it might be the fact that they've got good stores of honey. I have been feeding them, but I went to feeding them. I was feeding them 50-50, right? During the, well, late summer, early fall. I was feeding them 50-50, which meant 50 sugar and 50% water. And then my mentor said they can't process all that water later on in the year, so just switch over. So about maybe the end of October, I switched over, and now I give them half water relative to sugar, right? Yeah, so now I do just half of it is water. So it's a lot thicker consistency, and I notice in the feed troughs, I get a lot of crystallization that I didn't have earlier on in the year. But I don't know, they're eating it. It seems to be happy. They seem to have really good honey stores, both of them. Now I'll do the same thing here with the bumblebee. I'll do the same thing here I did with the other, but this hive is actually one frame less than the other hive, and so it's even a bigger space. You've already seen it, so you know the concept. But I'll do the same thing. I'll just kind of create as small of a cavity as I can, but a little bit of a cavity for the air to flow from the actual entrance over to this secondary entrance. Now, I think that in February or March, when they start booming and I have to start putting frames in here, they'll come past halfway on the box, and they'll actually have two entrances to the hive, and they'll be able to support that because they'll have enough population to defend themselves. But certainly right now, that is not the case. Yeah, they say to use wool insulation, just I guess, I don't know, more natural or whatever. So that's what I'm using. Just take that little bit of insulation that I threw there. And then just fold it over just like I did before, creating that little bit of a cavity. So that'll do it. I don't know if this is the full winterization, but it could well be. The only thing I think I will do in addition to this is I'll just put a couple of frames there so I have a little bit of a surface, and then when it's getting really cold, just come and put a piece of wool insulation underneath this lid. The lid is tall enough that it can sit up some, and have that insulation just lying in there, and then probably come and take it back out when the weather sort of goes into warm spurts and go back and forth. I could leave it in there. I just don't want the condensation in there. All right, guys, so that's what it looks like. Pretty simple. This is a nice thing about these boxes that are already insulated. Don't need to do a lot to get them to change their environment. All right, so thanks for everything. Thanks for the support. Please comment if you do something similar or different, and let's roll.